everyone. Today we'll discuss about future of human habitation design. So in this like a context of sustainability issues which are happening across the planet, what is the way out? How to go about it? How to visualize the new habitation format, new habitation structures for the times to come? So obviously it looks like the current actually state of affairs is not going correct, and we may need to uh, rethink, revisualize and reimagine different kind of like a living formats which may actually take place in the times to come, like in the next 200 years, in the next 100 years. So how will that be? Let's give it a thought of like a wild thought to visualize that. So if we see like the humans, so humans are in the like at the central focal point of the designing as far as like architecture, industrial design and planning and everything is concerned. So human habitation is directly related with the human psychological and human physiological actually requirements. So as you can see in this slide over here, okay, so this is taken from like a piece of like a article or a research which talks about like a man as the central measure. Okay, so this was published long back in 1963, but it is still relevant in terms of like visualizing the human needs, visualizing the like a human like a comfort level, visualizing the physical surrounding atmosphere, the physical comfort levels, etc. So as you can see in the top portion of this sketch, this illustration, it talks about human physical and psychological reactions. So what are those things? Like how, what are those circumstances when we feel like a comfortable physically as well as mentally? So a habitation is a place where we spend a maximum amount of our time, like on the everyday basis. And whether it is our housing or whether it is our place of our work, okay, or a place of like recreation, they are all part of like some types of like a buildings. So how to address, how to solve, because the major actually point of UNSDG talks about a human well-being, okay, human welfare, okay, the comfort. So how do we going to address this? So on the lower half of this sketch, if you see, there are like some physical parameters given. Well, these are very few. There are several more in the recent studies which have evolved. So starting from like this topic and this illustration, it has evolved into several like a minute details about like a human habitation and human comfort. And the bottom one, it talks about like climatic and environmental issues. So this is what precisely we are talking about, like how to deal with the climate, how to deal with the geography, how to deal with the topography, how to handle with the external environment and the surrounding and the atmosphere. And there are like spatial animate elements also, like how to visualize the space which can be like a soothing, which can be like a comfortable for like any human habitation. So let's see this actually. If you see this picture, okay, what comes to our mind? Okay, I think it's a real picture from well, I don't want to the name that place, but this is really actually weird to see the two starking like a contrast in the human habitation planning and design and execution. Okay, so on the one side we can see there are like a shanties, highly like a dense, populated areas in from like a that city, and on the right hand side we see like a relatively much better actually designs with the courtyard planning, with the spaces, ample spaces given for like a transportation, ample spaces given for like parking, play areas, recreational areas and things like that. And every household, every unit of these houses, they have access to actually outside like a exterior, the surrounding, with the fresh entry of like of the air and the light, and all of these like a natural requirements. So with the ever increasing like rate of the population, how the design and how the construction sector is going to maintain its balance to provide actually to meet the needs of like a every human being? It's a big question upon us as a designer, as a planner, as an architect, like how to deal with this situation. Are these people who are living on the left side, they do not deserve a like a equal treatment? What about the points from the like a UNSDGs? How to give them like a equality in the society? How to give them like how to share the equity with them? how to share like this human well-being with them. So is there any like a input which can come from the like a designer side, come from the architect side, from the planner side? Okay, so let's see some of the visualizations, okay, taken up from like a different visualizers, different artists and designers. So what do they think, what do they say so about the future? Okay, what is being said over here? If you see, if we cannot envision the world we would like to live in, we cannot work towards its creation. If we cannot place ourselves it in our imagination, we will not believe it is possible. So if you see like in this actually statement, what is being said over here, if we cannot visualize the future, if we cannot visualize the time, if we cannot visualize the society, what kind of society we want, what kind of actually living like a conditions we want, what kind of like a community living we visualize. So unless we visualize that, we cannot execute it. So first of all, it is very important for us to visualize that, conceptualize that, then comes the execution part. The second statement, okay, it says we shall require a substantially new manner of thinking if mankind is to survive. This is from Albert Einstein. So greatest scientist like him, he's talking about like how we can survive as a one single like race of like a humanity, okay, over the times to come. So we should like a substantially like a new kind of thinking is, and a new kind of actually systemic approach is needed. Okay, then only we can plan for that, then we can go for the execution of that scheme, and we can actually sustain the future. What are the future scenarios given by like a Buckminster Fuller? You may be knowing him. He was one of the greatest actually architect, okay, who has been here, who has explored several like pneumatic forms, geodesic forms, several kind of like a structural lattice systems and things he has developed. So what he says about the future scenarios: you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So, as rightly said by him, we must need a new proposition, a new actually design, a new landscape, a new architecture to replace the existing one if we find it not suitable for the future needs. So, we have to actually imagine, we have to visualize that scenario. There is no other way. If we keep on actually struggling with the present one, it's not going to change much for our like realities. The next statement is from Dennis Gabor. The future cannot be predicted, but futures can be invented. Again, emphasizing the same thing, like we have to invent our future, we have to go behind it, we have to look for it, we have to envision it, then only it can be made possible. So one of the examples I would like to put up for your like understanding here as a case study, this is from like a country like Nigeria. Okay, so we know like what are the like a relatively like a conditions in the like African countries, but effort can come from any place, from any corner of the world. And that is why precisely I am keeping this slide from like a visualization of this. It's a school actually floating on the water. Okay, so this is from like the place like in Nigeria, and it is situated, it's actually a Nigerian born architect Kunle Adeyemi has designed and built a three-story floating school on a lagoon, okay, in Nigeria. So you can see in this the picture on the right hand side, it's a three-story like a wooden structure which is floating right on the water. And there are like a kids, the children who can come here, they can enjoy the view, they can enjoy the actually this structure, this design, and they can learn in this kind of like environment. So a building need not be always fixed on the ground. So actually the idea along with this actually design is to move away from the like rigidity of the conventional design and think really afresh, because in the new context which is like a upon us, like upon the humanity, like the pollution in the several like a quarters of the places like earth, land, water, air. Okay, then how can we deal with it? Where we have to like place ourselves? Okay, to minimize the consumption of the material, to maximize the renewable sources consumption in our like everyday life. So how we can design in these like a renewed context? If we want to move away from the like a controlled environments, like electricity based, like appliance based actually environments, where we have like a controlled like electrical based lighting, we have like a HVAC based actually conditioning systems and all that. So how can we move away from like a such scenario? So this actually design presents a very fresh actually visualization, and you can see like he has equipped this unit with the units like a photovoltaic like a cell panels, okay, and there is like a ventilated roofing for like a better ventilation inside, okay, and it's relatively much open than any like a conventional like classroom, and it has like a luvers for shade also, so that the direct sunlight can be avoided, okay, and well, it has some amount of vegetation also on board, where children can feel that not they're not too far away from like any place which is like a ground, okay, and it is comfortably sitting on the like a water body floating. So you can see this picture over here and how amazingly beautiful it looks. So see like the very simple earthen materials along with the tin roofing which is used over here, and children are reaching there with the small smaller boats. So how fascinating is this to learn in like a such kind of environment? So actually this design gives us a fresh outlook like how we can think about in the renewed scenario, and we must actually strive for that. So let's see some more actually examples and discussions in the coming slides. So here if we see uh, we have actually the humanity has always begun with the space age. So and some of us from our like a human race, they have been constantly living in ISS, International Space Station, for quite some time now. I think ISS is almost completing 20 years this month. So in the year I think 20 years ago, in the year of like a 2000, I think in the month of October or November it was launched. So it has already completed 20 years, and it is again like a projected to stay afloat for another like 6 to 8 years at least. So this is ISS is, well, it's not a permanent like a colony or something like that, but at least ISS provides a step ahead in the future habitation of the mankind. Okay, where if we will be exploring like our habitation systems in the space. Why I'm discussing this topic over here, it is very important to visualize and imagine things, because imagination actually actually generates the knowledge, because Albert Einstein, as he has rightly like pointed out in one of his statements, imagination is more important than knowledge. And as a designer, as a creative people, okay, we have all the liberty to visualize, to foresee those things, like how those things are going to come our way, and how better manner in which better manner we can cope up with them. So it is very important for us to at least keep thinking about these strategies, these actually phenomena with to like how in the given renewed like scenarios or circumstances of the atmosphere, okay, how we are going to survive. So in this capsule, if you see, it's an arrangement of like several things, like how to grow their food in the this habitation system, how to harvest energy, how to generate energy, okay, how to work, how to live, and how to actually dispose of the waste. So all of the cycles of any like a requirement, any fulfilling like needs, they are all being actually carried out in this actually design. So if you see on the right hand side sketch on from the right side, so it has bladder tanks, it has like a hallways, it has glass doors, growth beds. So growth beds are the actually places where there will be like a vegetation and eating material, the food will be actually grown. And there are pipes for like a servicing, okay, there are like a freezer and storage systems also to keeping like a stuff for a secure manner for a longer period of time. There are like raft beds where there will be actually water bodies will be kept and to provide like oxygen into them, there will be like aerators and pumps and fish tank also, because fish are the one very important part in the recycling and this stuff. So as long as they provide like a food, so that's a very normal actually this thing, but they actually take care of the decomposition of the several types of organic waste materials also. So they are one of the best recyclers of the organic waste material in the ecosystems. So how such waste from like a kitchen and other agricultural waste can be actually recycled on site itself, as at the same time they will be provided with the nourishment and nutrition. So it's a complete cycle where it has been visualized to be like undertaken in this actually capsule. Okay, we have been actually fancying for like a quite some time to settle on the Mars. Well, how soon it can be like a possible for us to move to Mars? Well, it's still a matter of like a concern for us, and everybody like is excited to at least plan for it, at least to see things like how things are like shaping up. And recently there was one movie also which depicted actually such like a conditions, like how the protagonist in that actually movie managed to grow his food there, and he managed to survive for like an extended period of time. And then though he came back to the earth, but at least the period while he stayed over there was really challenging, and it was like an eye opener for us to like see the human endeavor, like how to survive in like such harsh conditions. Well, beyond earth, well, there are like a limitless possibilities as a like a creating like human settlements on the various planets uh, and satellites. But yeah, how will that thing be made possible? Well, it's still like a fancy of like a imagination, and very strong actually working out details. As you can see in this illustration over here, it talks about creating like a artificial atmosphere, because Mars doesn't have like the normal atmosphere what we have here on the earth. And for doing so, it creates like a pneumatic structures, and within those pneumatic structures a human habitation, along with the like a plentiful saturated oxygen and other like gases can be like actually provided. And these shells, these actually are artificially like a created atmospheres, will be able to nourish even the vegetation. And well, there will be some other like supporting activities also, as you can see in this picture, like a maintenance drone and all, to keep check of uh, like the maintenance part of it. And yeah, so at the left hand side bottom, you can see there is the cycle of water which happens usually on like a earth, is shown with that sketch. And on top there is a cycle which is being like a imagined, like how this thing, the same like a water cycle can be emulated in an like a controlled atmospheric like a membrane and the volume on the planet like Mars. So well, still we can visualize things, and I'm sure there are scientists and engineers working out to detail this actually like how the human habitation will look like on the planet Mars. So one actually major variation, what are those actually conditions which have actually supported life on Earth? So before thinking of settling on any other like a planet or any other like a satellite elsewhere beyond like our planet Earth, we must actually understand what are those fragile the set of circumstances who have met coincidentally on the planet Earth, and have actually created this actually a fortunate actually a moment where the life has become possible. For example, the supply of oxygen, for the supply for the like, for an example, the optimum distance between our star sun and the planet earth, so that we get the optimum amount of heat and light, not too little, not too high. And yeah, the quantum of like the atmospheric pressure, the presence of actually life-giving gases such as like methane is supposed to be one of the very important gases which helped starting actually microbial life on this planet very long ago, billions of years ago. So how these actually compositions of like a different like natural elements and composition has helped, like for example ozone we are all aware of. So in absence of ozone, okay, there will be like a shower of ultraviolet rays on the surface of the planet earth, and we may actually not be able to cope up with the ultraviolet actually rays. So see like how fragile these smaller things are, which we generally like take them for granted. So how we can make use of these resources which are very critical for supporting life on this planet, okay, which we are thinking to emulate elsewhere, but I'm not sure like how long it may take for us to create like habitation systems on those actually places. So we, before going on to like those like alien places, we must actually preserve our own planet, which is sustaining us for a very long time, and which is going to sustain us and give us shelter, okay, give us food, give us all our like necessity like resources for a very long time to come. uh, well, space is another like a domain. So I was speaking about ISS. This is actually a visualization of ISS. Okay, so International Space Station. So this is actually a laboratory space where scientists and engineers are conducting several like researches. So those researches include even related with the like a human habitation, like how well we will be able to grow like a plants for like a food supplies in space. Okay, how well this microgravity is going to affect the growth and development of our like a human body, how our these muscles are going to be have in a space where there is like a no gravity, almost no gravity or very little gravity. So how our bone system is going to be have, because our anthropological development on this earth has been in such a way that for that we require like 1 g of like a earth. Okay, we require like a such like a atmospheric pressure. Okay, we require like a, this amount of like a humidity, we require like a certain like a wind ventilation. Okay, we require this sunlight, we require this heat. So all of these actually compositions, okay, of these different actually elements, they immediately get varied the moment we reach into the space. Well, there is no gravity or very little gravity in a, like a microform. Okay, there is no air. Okay, there is no like a surface, earth surface to stand on. Okay, there is no naturally occurring water over there. So how this whole human habitation thing will actually take place is still like a under like explorations. Yeah, another actually domain where this looks possible for like a human habitation, okay, is on the surface of water. So surface of water actually gives us a dynamic actually platform where our structures cannot be actually hinged like a permanently to the ground, or cannot be actually penetrated in the ground to create with the help of like a foundation like a structure and all. But they can be like a floating depending upon the requirement, depending upon the weather and climate. We can move our these settlements from one place to another. We can keep growing our like food aqua with the help of like aquaponics and all, or like for the food supplies, for the like maintaining the marine life. Okay, for maintaining like oxygen supplies. So this another probable actually domain looks like is the water surface. And next to that, even the surface below the like a ground or the earth's surface. Okay, so the ground right below the earth's surface also is one actually possible actually domain where human habitation might take place. Well, we have some traditional examples of living in the like earthen structures from like ancient places of like Turkey and some places. So we have seen like a bigger like stone mountains and hillocks converted into like a finer like burrows where the human settlements were actually designed to for like a living. Even they used to keep some like domestic animals and cattle also in those actually chambers at the lower levels. And it used to be like naturally ventilated with the like air pressure. And they used to collect like a water from like a natural like a supplies like a rainwater and things, and they used to live in those actually burrows for a very long time. So we have those examples. Is it possible, is it feasible that such actually imagination, the piece of imagination is we are going to realize someday? Because it might happen as the global warming is increasing like with the every like a decade with such a like a scale. So it may become possible one day that the temperature on the earth's surface may increase very high, and it may actually render uh, the earth's surface into a very deserty kind of like a space. So we have seen some a picture from the planet like Mars. So how the Mars has like a converted into a very dry, arid, and very tough to survive like a surface. Okay, in the daytime the temperature reaches up to like 250 degrees, and in the night time it reaches up to minus 150 degrees. So that's very inhospitable for like any like a human being or any like a living creature for whom we like know here on the planet Earth to survive on actually those extreme conditions. Though it may have, though it may take like a very long time for Earth to reach those actually like a condition, and well, I'll never pray for actually those condition. God forbid. We maintain, we learn how to maintain the balance, the ecological balance on our planet Earth, and we continue to live here comfortably. But just for the like imagination's sake, how this thing is going to like look like. So as you can see in this visualization, like this illustration, so there will be like a streams, water streams also created, and there will be like a full like a air supplies, okay, and there will be like a chimneys or the air vent systems to take and exhume actually air, stale air from the like a lower portion from to the like atmosphere like above. And yeah, the vegetation with the help of like a trees and other like a greening, like a creepers and things, this will be completely like a laid with. And yes, the whole city might actually be constructed in the times to come, as it like looks like. So it's not that difficult, it's not that impractical. Well, there are some in the urban scenarios, there are some building who have actually taken advantage of the earth's topography to hide below the like earth's surface. So they have actually used, like for example, you may have been to the Mahatma Gandhi's like a memorial place, that Rajghat in New Delhi. So there, the architect had utilized the contour, the earth form of the landscape, and they have actually taken a sunken area in the middle of that landscape, and they have created that space where the Mahatma Gandhi's ashes were actually buried. So if you see from if you are entering that area, that actually complex, so you will not notice any like a man-made structure, but you will see all green like grass surfaces, okay, rising, undulating like grass surfaces. So is it possible that such topographical features can be utilized for like a creating like a human colonies, human settlements in the times to come? Because it's completely like a possible, utilizing like we have studied in the like a previous like a lectures, how to utilize the form, how to utilize the like a orientation, of the building to take the maximum advantage of like a sun, wind direction, and rains. So to make them more efficient and working, we must actually align all of these like natural elements in such a way so that they can take maximum advantage of them. So this completely looks plausible. Maybe you can explore more with your imagination, how like our like a building services, how the civic services, how these transportation services can take place below the earth surface. So this I am leaving as an assignment to you. Maybe you can put your creative thoughts into it. Yeah. So well, so as a like a summation to this lecture, I would suggest all of you to visualize actually most fitting solutions which helps this ecosystem to maintain its balance, which helps this like our biosphere to maintain its balance, which is like almost like a no polluting like a entity, which consumes like renewable resources only, which doesn't exerts like toxin and effluent materials, which utilizes the nature's like resources in a like a responsible way, which behaves in such a way to like promote like a harmony and value system in the society, which actually enables every member of the society and the community to live in a like a happy and well-being kind of situation. So you are free to visualize and propose your design solution and share on the like various platforms, so that it can come into the attention of the like a future planners and designers and architects, and this can be like taken forward for the like a future of our human habitation. Thank you all.